day 1 is all about the introduction and tying it to SEL. And then day 2 was about attaching our googly eyes, cutting out our ears, and creating our mouth shape. Day 3 was all about giving it more of that facial expression and that emotion that they're trying to capture. And by doing so was adding the nose and our lips and our teeth. So for the newspaper, each student just need one giant piece of paper, and I always told students to divide it up in half. One of these papers is going to be used to create the lips, and this extra paper is for the nose and any additional mouth or the lips that they might need to fill in depending on how wide or big their mouth is. So the trick is for students to do a little prepping before, grab some tape, and just kind of rip off about a hand's width and kind of put it around their table. And I did about 7 to 8 strips. So with your first strip of paper, all I'm going to do is grab it and I'm just going to turn and twist. Literally, just if you were squeezing out water out of a rag. And very carefully, I'm going to grab my first strip of tape. And what you want to focus on is having the tape go at an angle. So I'm holding onto my newspaper straight across, and what I'm going to do, instead of putting the tape straight across down, you want to have it at an angle like so, kind of creating a V, the letter V with our paper and our tape, so that it's easy to go around. And because it's at an angle, your tape is automatically going to twist around. So you can see how by doing that, I'm able to go around easier with the tape and fold it. I'm going to do it again here. I'm going to twist it a little bit more. So, oh, it's stuck. Hold it straight. Put that tape at an angle, you can see here, and then automatically it goes around, and then you can have students, by turning that paper, you can make it tighter or looser. Ta-da! You might have to reinforce just a little bit depending on how tight the students make it or how loose in certain areas, but like I said, for the majority of the majority, as long as they have it turned. Here we go again. I'm going to focus on this part right here. Have our lips ready to go. Now what you want to do is go ahead and put a bunch of little tape like this, about the size of your finger, along the side of your table. So with your prep tape, you're going to tape your rope of newspaper along the side of where you cut your mouth out. Now, I will be honest, this part was tricky. So what you're going to do is, with your little tiny pieces of tape, you're going to tape it on the inside of the mouth, and then bring your newspaper as close as possible to the edge and wrap that tape around the newspaper and make it stick to the plastic of the bottle. Now, when you're attaching your next piece, you don't want to be too far away from the last tape you just attached, because if you make it too far, your rope will come off your bottle. So you want to keep your tape about an inch away from each other. Again, start from the inside of the bottle and then just wrap it around and making it nice and tight and pulling that newspaper down to where you can tape the tape to the actual plastic of the bottle. Now, if you have any sharp corners like on my mouth here, it will be challenging, but as long as you have enough tape, you shouldn't have an issue of just being able to bend that newspaper around and tape it down. So the rest of this clip is going to be me finishing out and putting tape along my mouth. Luckily, I had enough newspaper to make it go around my whole mouth. But if you run out, simply just use the extra paper from your newspaper to make a little strip and just cut the size that you need and attach it. You'll be able to make it seamless with the plaster. And just like that, you have created your mouth. Let's move on to the nose. So as for your other sheet, this sheet is for any extra that you might need for your mouth in case you didn't get a chance to go all the way around. And then you're going to use about half of it for your nose. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this off. And then go ahead and divide it up into smaller sections. And then get my tape ready to go. When I have about this much for one. So I'm going to take my first piece of paper and literally crumble it up into a ball. Then take your first tape and wrap it around one time. Rip off the extra tape and wrap it around the other direction. Now I'm going to crumble it up again, and this is going to give it more of that spears look. Use your hot glue gun to attach it to your monster head. You will now repeat this process 2 more times. This is going to give your monster head more of that nose-like quality. Crumble your piece of paper, wrap the tape around it, make sure to go in the other direction as well, and then crumble your paper again to form more of that spheres look. The last 2 spheres that you create are going to be used for the side of your nose. A trick that I discovered last year is the hole behind the handle. You're going to want to stuff it with some newspaper so that it prevents the plaster from going in and you won't waste so much plaster. By stuffing the newspaper inside of it, use the tape to secure it down. This is also going to give more support when you add the plaster later on. We are finally at the last step before plastering, which is our teeth. Believe it or not, yes, my friends, the teeth is the last thing we do. When you're cutting your teeth, you're going to be using the leftover cardboard. Now, keep in mind, depending on what shape your teeth is, it's going to give your monster a different look. Versus it has a triangle shaped tooth, a round shaped tooth, or a squared shaped tooth. Look how different my monster looks when I add a triangular shaped tooth versus the round shaped tooth. Kind of gives it more of a silly character look to it. Even the square tooth looks different. So just remind your students, depending on the emotion, what they're going for, the teeth can make a big difference. Once they have cut out their teeth with cardboard, then they're going to use a little bit of hot glue gun, stick it on the top part of the cardboard, and stick it on the inside of the plastic bottle.
Right here, I think I'm only going to do 2, and then very carefully.
You can see here how I'm attaching it from the inside.
Well, you can see, and then I think I'm going to add one more on the bottom.
We are now ready for plaster. This is the end of part 2. Now head over to part 3 and check out how we mastered the plastering and painting. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to message me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or even shoot me an email. I will do my best to send a message as quickly as possible. I can't wait to hear from you.